Synchronicities come in all sorts of amazing ways. I just had an incredible experience over the past few days that landed, and I want to share it with you regarding synchronicities and how often our mind, our ego wants to go off and try to figure it all out and decipher the message and all that. But sometimes it's best to just acknowledge the connection and allow it to move on. So I was on with a private call with one of the members from a new you, and she was talking to me about this Merkaba pendant that she has that she hasn't worn in a while, and now she's wearing it again, and it's opening up some interesting conversations with people when they see it and want to know more about it. And just this morning, I was on another conversation with a different New You program participant who hadn't heard the story from the other one because that was on a one-on-one private call. She mentioned to me how she found this Merkaba pendant that she hadn't seen probably in at least 10, 15 years. And it just was there in her experience again, and she started to wear it. So, two times over the last few days, I've had two separate people who did not have communication or know this story. They're both New You program participants where, we work on getting connected and building a solid foundation and learning how to keep your vibration higher. But they weren't aware of the other person's experience, but they both shared it with me, which was really, really interesting. And when things like that happen, your antenna kind of pops up and it's like, wow, something magical is happening here. And it's interesting because for me, I used to really want to dive in and try to decipher what that means. Okay. And my mind still, to a little extent, wants to try to create some sort of a reason for that happening or a message out of there. Now, for me, what I'm feeling is that it's a sign to lean more into or reconnect with a lot of those amazing bilocation experiences that I've had and really start to lean into that energy, that multidimensional energy, and bring that forward, right? Because we were talking about in a New You yesterday in the group part of the program, the Merkaba in light body activation and all of that magic and reconnecting with your multidimensional energy. And one conversation happened before yesterday and one happened today. But both of them ended up with these pendants that are very, very similar. And that's just so incredibly amazing. And the universe just kind of draws all of this together to bring it into your experience so that you could really remember not only that you're always connected, but remember the truth of who you are. You're just a limitless, energetic, multi-dimensional being of light. All of this physicality is simply really like a hologram that is here so that you can have an experience of being separated from the rest of you. That's why we experience everybody as separate beings. We experience our guides as separate beings, right? Because that's part of the experience. Even though everything's really a reflection of you, we experience these aspects of us as separate. That's why we wanted to come in here. That's why you chose to come in here, to really experience being cut off and returning to the truth of who you are, an expansion of consciousness, right? That's really the sole purpose when you think about it, okay? We all have human purposes and what we want to do to express that expansion, that evolution, but the overarching purpose really is to experience this expansion, to be able to create the space and ground and integrate as much of your light as possible. And as you do that, you start to detach from the 3D and you start to rise up vibrationally into higher frequency realities, and you start to experience all the magic that those realities contain. We see it as magic from the human perspective, but in reality, really, it's just a function of these higher vibrational dimensions, these higher fields of consciousness. So we're moving up into that, but the universe will throw in some of these unique little situations, these synchronicities that really help us to align in the moment, to like be aware. Are you aware? There's synchronicities happening all the time. The question is, are you aware of them, right? Are you spotting the license plate? Are you looking at the clock at 5:55 or 4:44 or 11:11 or whatever it is, right? Are you catching the lyric in the song? Maybe the song's playing, but you're focused on something else and not aware of it, right? But the more that you go through this healing journey and the more that you drop the heavy baggage of all of that trauma, all of that dense energy, you simply set it down and allow your divine energy to flow through you, you're more present in the now. You're more aware of everything that's happening around you. And people that I'm working with, people in a new you, are, they're sharing with me that they're picking up on a lot more now because they're more centered. They're not in their mind. They're not feeling the anxiety like they used to or feeling the stress, right? That's like living in the past and living in an expected future. It takes you out of the present. But the more present you become, the more your physical senses are available to tune into some of these higher frequency energies. You may start to hear your guides and experience your guides or see your guides. Certainly feel your guides, right? Your ears are going to be more in tune to like the music that's playing around you. Maybe you're out at a store, you're out at a restaurant, whatever it is, and a song comes on and you pick it up right away because you're more present, you're more aware. You're not so much in your head worrying about what you got to do later that day. Okay? And as you go through this journey and you work through this, what happens is you start to be able to just, like I said, become more present. And that's a sign that you're grounding more of your higher self and you're integrating it. And that magic is starting to reflect in your reality. And it comes through as all of these signs and synchronicities. And the important thing is to not really dive in and try to analyze everything. I know I used to do that. And if you still do that, that's okay. But just know that oftentimes, from my experience, I'm going to share that with you here, that I'd come up with a reason or a meaning behind some sort of a synchronicity, and then something would happen maybe days or weeks later, and I'd be like, oh, that ties back directly to that synchronicity. So I had it kind of all wrong in the beginning because I was trying to figure it out from the mind. So when these things happen to you and you try to figure it out, let that go and just kind of give the universe a little wink like, yeah, I'm aligned. I got that. Thank you for bringing me that experience. And whatever it is that is meant for you, that is quantumly tied, energetically tied to that direct experience, will unfold in due time and divine timing when it's ready to. So I had this experience with these two women in a new you on separate occasions. They weren't aware of what happened with the other one, but yet I was kind of like that adjoining point, right, surrounding this Merkaba pendant that they both had. And I'm leaving it right there. Like I said, it gets me thinking more about my multidimensional experiences and that magic of being here, consciously aware, and actually being consciously aware in another location at the same time. It's bringing that up for me and that forward. That's what's coming forward naturally. I'm not overthinking it. That's just where it's at right now, where that energy is. So it's kind of like activating a lot of that multidimensional energy surrounding the ability to have these bilocation experiences. I'm just good with that. That's great. Do I need to do anything about it because I had this synchronicity? No. I'm just going to focus into that and just kind of activate that energy and kind of sit in it and be grateful for that opportunity. If there's something more to come out of this, it'll come forward when it's ready. But the amazing thing is that this was kind of weaved through the thread of a new you, and two different people had the same type of experience. And that's just the reality that we're lifting into vibrationally, that we're rising up into. Higher frequency realities, the rigidity of space and time starts to lessen and things become more pliable. And these types of events start to break through, they start to poke through, and you become aware of them because you've done that work again of releasing a lot of that density that's been anchoring you to a lower dimensional field, a third dimensional field, and you've allowed yourself to start rising up through the 4D and accessing 5D consciousness and higher. And these types of messages, these types of synchronicities, these types of events are starting to really become a normal part of your experience because they're a normal part of an experience of an expanded consciousness, and that's where you're heading. If you want to learn more about a new you and my awakening experience, definitely register for the free masterclass. I'm going to put that link in the description below.